for the stories that we want to pick up in our future sprints, like we did last time, we'll go into details on every single story. We try to capture all our dependency, design, grooming considerations, build projects. How do we want to really approach the development of the story? Like, man, where do we need QA to help us out? Those endpoints only. Design team and all that stuff. So, yeah, just like how we did our planning for the View credit cards last time, we start with this user story of adding creating a credit card on the accounts page.
Yeah, and I think just a good kickoff point might be, currently there is a page for adding a credit card. We're using an existing subpage contract, and that's all working within the payments flow. And I think this work will just be, it's part just redesign of that contract, but there will be some updates to adding some new fields and also some things that'll pertain to editing credit cards, which is a new page that will be put forth. So I actually have that contract up. I think some people have already been able to take a look at it. So the contract negotiations are already actually in swing.
What the service is doing and
the music contract, can you elaborate? Are you talking about API contracts?
And then also
no, like build their models again.
Okay. So what you're saying, in other words, there is an existing data model of the attributes already there. All you need to do is make the change. Is that right?
Yep, exactly.
Or something else, and then
got it. So there is no backend changing.
I think the rest of the
So as far as, I can't speak to, I guess, the backend changes. I just know that the front-end contract is going to be updated slightly to include some new form fields. I think that's just an Athena change.
Keeping the test open.
I suppose backend, when we can start getting into like the nitty-gritty, we can let me know if there's anything that you see will be a backend change here.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if we can think from an API kind of a driven first approach rather than
if you want to refresh it,
if we say that API contract already has all the elements, then then there is no, it's a non-event on the backend side.
Yep, exactly. That's the hope.
And so this is updated the current page.
No, I think the other two are
right, and we're
closed, but
just
Kelly,
maybe
you want to take
adding
care
new
of
paths
closing those
to
out?
that current page.
Yeah.
Okay. New page, or do we?
All right.
We do need a copy of that add a card page.
Well, okay, let's go let's understand
So that would then
the user
be
flow,
4
and then
points,
we're going to do the okay. So
4 points plus 2. That
So
would
this
be,
is our
it says
user
this one is
counts and
remaining
clicks
2
on
points,
the
right? So
manage
that'd
credit
be 3.
cards. We use all the credit cards.
Are these statuses
And
correct?
then-
Or the
I assume
subtask statuses and the subtasks themselves?
Yeah, this is correct. This should be good. That's fine.
Alright, so then that's 3 total, plus the 12 we have. So we have, looks like 15 points will move.
Say delete.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the flow for credit card.
And
for
then
add cards, you
I
click
think
on
there's
this
a bug here
get the
that's assigned
same
to Malia.
kind of template. You add all your
Is this still 2
details,
points for you, Malia?
and then I just save cancel.
Hey, Harsha, where do we select the credit card type?
Alright, and then Alex, lender contacts,
Who's the
error message for max
Lad,
character limit. This one didn't have any story
Florence,
points.
but
I think we auto pick the credit card
everyone
type,
has
once you
this.
type in
How
the
much
credit
work
card
is remaining
number.
here?
That's how it used to work on the old app.
Probably have done today.
So sorry, say that again, Fahad. So if I enter my credit card, you guys know already mine is a Visa or a MasterCard?
Yeah. So it used to
And
show
then,
based on your numbers you
the
entered,
automated
say Visa or Master Amex.
Fixed publisher test cases.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So,
it's all
I
because those you can
Go
use
ahead.
your credit card numbers, the type.
I'm just gonna ask
But it does come down to
you have more than
so
10
Anthony,
tabs,
do you have any
whole thing
designs
for anything with more than 10 tabs?
Visa?
Just close it out with this.
No, I didn't know there
Should
was
start with
all of this.
three,
And I think it's
and then
much
you
based
have
on the
a
current
bunch
one
of
too, so the
and
current design. So he doesn't know if
progress
like
one open, I think
drop
we
down or
can
something to
trust
select
it.
that.
I wouldn't want the user to have to, because it's quicker for them just to enter numbers, expiration dates.
Yeah, and looks like, I mean, we're showing it
just
on the manage
when
credit card tab, but the first screen, right? Setting notes. That's after, I guess, right? After the enter.
So how do you determine based on the credit card number?
Are you expecting to add more tasks?
Too familiar with this application. So if I just enter 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever my credit card, somehow there is logic that says this is a Master, Visa,
That needs to be worked on, right?
Yeah, maybe someone else.
Under publisher or for
How it works,
something
but
else?
there is the
Yeah,
last.
but for publisher, I think there are.
I believe that's how it goes. Here's what you're saying.
It's
the first few numbers that decided.
Oh yeah, or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, I think, what I remember, Blue Snap takes care of that.
So we should clone this one? Is that what you're
So
suggesting?
there is a way,
So we'll clone this.
The first couple of credit card numbers, they all
subtasks.
particular types.
Yeah, I mean, right.
4 is Visa, 5 is MasterCard,
Other
3
than
is Amex.
you guys just want to close it out and
They can,
and create another one, I'll just add the remaining tasks, the new one.
Yeah, I posted a link to just basically like identifying like those bin numbers and how they work. But it's like a credit card standard.
Anyway, we don't have to do it. We just have to display it, and we'll get it down as an asset on display.
What do you know the story?
Okay, got it.
this
So I
movie?
think in the edit card, while they're typing, they don't know. We don't really show them
Yeah,
the
five,
typing.
I
It's only
think
in the
it's
manage.
for now.
Here we show the like the same or
Because I have
the
the
image of the
additional
type.
strings as well in that new.
Yep,
so
that's correct.
Okay, so that I assume like when this data goes to like Pegasus to backend to Blue Snap, that's where we get the card type from the Blue Snap, or do we handle that in our like Pegasus or somewhere?
So
you know,
we should be
like,
able
because
to.
I believe what we talked last time was Pegasus or Athena knows this mapping of card types to the images, right? So
Yeah,
Athena
Pegasus
says that-
or Athena will send the list of images per card type
Same.
to Pegasus, and I think Pegasus is assuming to get that type from the backend, whether it's Snap or a backend service. I'm not sure.
Okay, Ajit, like, how does the Blue Snap return the card type?
Yeah, we interact with Blue Snap, and the endpoint, the credit card endpoint, which we send the list of credit cards, we even send the card types in it. We do send the card type in it, so the core backend sends missing.
Okay, so the backend is actually sending us. Okay. That sounds good.
Actually, I just want to make one note too here. The design for the add a card, I don't think that it should have a delete card at the bottom. If you scroll down, that delete card should only be present during the edit card flow.
So they
Yeah,
can
I
just
was-
transfer here.
Move the issues. Yeah,
Just wanted to keep that clear because that'll come into play with the payload. Like we're gonna have an optional delete button that only gets served down for editing credit cards, but for adding, there's really nothing to delete yet because we haven't added anything yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm on it. I'm gonna remove that.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good catch. Okay, I think like the functionality is clear. How about like the validations?
So
Like,
this
how
should
do
be
we
good to
handle like
close.
validations on these fields?
the city mostly. This actually the other one that's
If I enter like A, maybe like that's controlled on the UI itself.
It's
Yeah, well,
three,
each form
three,
field
441.
has a regex validation associated with it. So first name and last name would probably have no validation other than it has to be greater
and
than
then this
0
one
characters.
looks like it's in QA.
And then so
Hopefully this won't be any.
guys, do you foresee
Yeah, it should be.
needing to do more regex
Yep.
validation? Do we need to expand the choices?
Oh, yeah, you're the one testing it, James?
So because there's a pre-existing add credit card page, I'd imagine that all the different form types we need are already there.
Other than
we can double check that though, but I'm pretty sure that there wouldn't be any additional
and 2
form
points
types
for Lee
necessary.
and 1 point for Alex.
Yeah, that is just pre-filling that add.
So with that
add
being
form.
said,
So yeah, as long as we're currently
next
doing
sprint
this.
looks like we
It's
have a
already
3-point story for a blog.
Yeah, so each form field has
Have any questions?
validation models built into it that we're cutting from.
Yeah, and like for example, like expiration and CVV, there's already types that come down so that when you're typing expiration, you're only allowing
The rest of the link
for
stories and
digit
we're gonna have
characters,
as well back,
and it'll automatically format, and then same thing with CVV, we're applying logic there. So all of that should be handled already. Same for zip code, so on and so forth.
Plus the Twilio that someone has to work on.
I think like
So
here it shows for the postal code.
anyone recommend we move out?
This is also probably handled in the earlier designs of earlier pages.
Yeah, in fact, I don't even think it would let you do that because I think there's a character cap on zip code or postal code. So I don't think it'll let you like type in more characters than it's anticipating.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Question. So if we add this option
11
of
use-
credit add card and whatnot, is this
Well, I
a new
wonder
feature
if,
that we are giving to the customer?
33019
Like what is the, what are we trying to give to the customer by this?
544.
This initiative is
We need to move
about
those out as well.
enhancing the user experience for
we also
the
have Patrick to work
account
on it in
page
the next one, so we'll have 3
so
people.
when I log into
Do
my Lauren,
just want to be
into the tracking
cognizant
from
of
I'm here now. Yeah, sorry, I'm late.
no, it's fine. So when I log into my app and I go to my account section, and this is where we are trying to
what
show the
remains.
user
Let's see
is
here.
already
Just
entered
looking.
cards, ability to add and like edit ones. And I think we
This
have all this
Patrick may
functionality
be
in the
involved
current app.
with
All we're trying to do is
SM
like, make the
packages.
styling better
Epic.
and
It's currently a web view.
Yeah, the web page is trash, so now they're gonna
Making it native. Yeah, right now it's all web views. We're trying to obviously get away from V1.
Okay, so it's more of a look and feel and getting that kind of an experience, not
In a
necessarily.
native, yeah, in a native.
performance and performance. So it'll be a lot more performant.
And credit card encryption processes that we're needing to do as well.
Sounds good.
Maybe involved in the SM packaging, Epic, and
okay, I think we'll definitely talk about the encryption part. Okay, so from the functionality point of view, this sounds good. Let's talk about the flows, validations.
I have a question. I don't know if we considered this yet. When a user is starting to input a credit card in
Because Dima, I think said earlier that it would be
you can auto
Calvin or Rajiv maybe.
apps do that.
yeah, that's what I'm a
I
little
click on
worried
the
about.
credit card field
Really
and
not
ask
a lot.
us. I type in any of my state credit cards I have on my phone. I get an option in my keyboard.
I'm just
to
worried
pre-fill
about
and pre-fill stuff.
LinkedIn
Is there any of that?
pushing
Is it
anything
easier?
out.
Or is it just
You guys-
using apps and everything?
Stay on the LinkedIn because I'm gaining momentum and
Yeah, that's a good point.
Entering what manually?
it isn't the easiest thing.
So, users have an ability in modern day
It's not
apps
bad,
now
but
when you
I
enter your credit card
I
to
think
autofill all the information
that I can
based on
probably
cards that you have saved. So the
Yeah.
question
increase
is,
velocity
do you
with
make
that
that
stuff.
Oh, how fancy.
You feel like we should keep
that would
those
be
two
cool.
stories
It's
in,
probably an
Calvin?
increased
The,
scope
publishing stories?
situation, so I don't want to get screamed at about increasing scope.
We just,
But that would be great if we were able to do that.
I mean, less that's better, right?
I think that's,
yeah, I hear you.
that's,
Okay.
I wouldn't even count that
Okay.
in my, towards my capacity. But I don't know what's left.
So,
We were rolling over the stories from Patrick, we had assigned to Patrick, right? Those are getting rolled over or no?
yeah, you feel like profile is done. Ajith, I think you're pretty comfortable with the email address story. Then we've got comments and posts, organization details.
Yes.
We've got assets, right? I think the assets were assigned to Patrick, They're now assigned to you, Calvin.
All your billing information,
so
please
those
do.
roll in Patrick's court. That's 6 points to Patrick. Okay, if that's the case.
The only other thing I'll mention, going from the current design to the new design is pretty seamless. There's not so many differences. Most of them are just aesthetic. The only thing that I see that are different is there's now that apartment suites or floor number optional field. We originally weren't sending anything down to make a field for like address line 2. So that's new, it's minimal. And the only other thing is that delete button that I mentioned before. But just wanted to point that out because both add and edit credit card will basically be the exact same payload. Just one will have credit card values like filled in already and the other one won't. And one has a deletes and the other one won't.
Yeah, I don't think these are going to. I don't even know.
Yeah, like I'll probably add a field to the current ad to say like the edit label or something like that, rather than making a whole new form for.
I don't think we can
the
keep
same form with both
3544
labels
because
in
that
it,
comes after the
and
level
just show
3 after
whichever
that.
one they're actively using.
I think this is the new story
So
we
I
created
see
yesterday
you
after the
assigned
meeting.
another primary credit card before the.
Oh yeah, so we were actually gonna.
So the expectation is if I want to delete the card which I'm already
So
loaded,
those
I have to
3
like
stories that we just moved out,
cancel those, go
to
somewhere
update
else, get that
publishing
primary, come
with the
back
new
here
posts, new
and
images,
delete
new
it.
videos, APIs. They used to be stories. We broke them down. We changed them now to tasks.
No, so they can't delete this card without assigning another primary card. If they're on another card page,
like this,
they can hit make this my primary card and it'll change from the previous primary card to that part as the primary card.
To consume the new
So that's
SDK version 2.
easy. But we don't let people delete the
Then we
card
have the
unless it's
regression
currently,
the full regression testing done on publisher.
unless it's not a primary card.
After we
So they have to have
create these new
a
points.
What if
so now these are
I
full
see why
development
this
tasks and
thinking
no QA
of
involved.
I'm a user, I'm in a card.
And this story, the one I'm on
This is-
currently, is the one
my
that has QA involved. So
What if
that's
we
the
can-
description of the story
what
here.
if we can still
We
get
have
another-
minimal development, we
then
have
the
the
convoluted
LinkedIn SDK dependency version for Realm. The story
Really
says
choose
that
the
it
primary
has
card.
required regression testing for the publishing
Then you're gonna have to
functionality.
go out.
And since the QA team was doing threes all around during our
Sure.
5 years
If it's not adding scope, you keep coming up like fun ideas. But yeah, if it's not adding scope, I love that.
Oh yeah, I think we're trying to like
Can't do this
as
without the other.
agreements, like
Well, let's
okay,
see.
this is a good
We
experience. What like we're not trying to add scope. I'm not trying to add scope. I'm trying to just talk through
The
ideas of
assets
what could be a good
posting,
experience too.
right?
Kind of feel it out to see if there's
Is part of the publishing.
Yeah, I think the ideas need to come like that, right? And maybe we just adding into the backlog and through this, but not having those
Right,
ideas.
that's the setup to
Right.
replicate.
But I love the idea of info,
SDK
because that will, make the
So
member
if
experience
those
much
get
faster.
done,
Totally. And I believe Harsha here is taking those
then
notes
we
down,
can
so
replace
we can explore that in the future.
Realm
Or if we
publishing
can include them now, that's great as well.
the SDK's publishing.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out too that this flow is basically something we do already with
Right,
lead
well,
passenger.
that's what I'm saying. I'm
Where you
wondering
basically
if
can't
we
like
need
delete
to
a lead passenger without
move
reassigning a lead passenger to a flight before
because
you delete
they're
or like pick from a little list of passengers.
That's
So I think we can maybe explore that flow to see if there's like a consistent solution here.
So
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to bringing in work later on. What I'm opposed to is not completing.
Right.
So if
I did
there's
have
any
another
risk in not
question
being
just
able to
regarding,
get this far,
I guess while we're on the topic of primary cards. I know like if this is your first card that you're adding, you automatically are having
guys,
to
if
make this
you
my
feel
primary
like
card
there's
set to
any
true.
risk
And I'm pretty sure that it's coming down as like,
shoring up
it's set to true and it's disabled.
getting
Like it has to be the primary card. Like your first card order has to be primary card. Is that a correct assumption?
from both realms.
Yes.
Data lake.
Okay. Do we have a design?
Let's move 36019 out. We'll move. And we'll just focus on finishing all the way up through 33231, which is that publishing story.
I would strongly suggest moving out 33019 at least out from this print and focus. And if we definitely have some time, we can just put in if we have 1 day left. But I'm pretty sure we will definitely not accomplish this 33019.
Yeah. I think I agree. Jeez.
How many stories are left when we take this out?
Well, we have 15 stories rolling, Calvin.
And
That's related to LinkedIn. Or 15 story
but I know it was in the
How many stories is that?
page.
And this
was
is
it for
yeah, I
filling
think
or
it's like
booking?
3-4 stories long.
So I
Six
think
stories are rolling for LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think we must do this already. 'Cause we
Yeah,
haven't
we
had
do it
credit card.
already.
So should we just
So
assume it's
five
just going
are-
to do the same as what it's currently doing?
Yeah, but we can get a design in here also just so
I know one of them is
you guys have it in the
profile,
file.
right?
Okay.
But it should work as it does today.
The other 5 that haven't
Perfect.
been,
That'd be great.
the other
Thank
one's
you.
an email.
So,
what are the
like,
other
quick
4?
question. Since all the
There's
integrations
the
have
ones that are
been
still
used
open that we haven't
now,
even
about all
started
these
yet.
card types,
Comments and
Are
posts,
there any
organization
specific
details.
that
Yes, that's
we cannot
They're
use
all
because
related to
BlueSnap doesn't allow?
the V2 endpoint, right?
No, we
This is
take
all
all the
just
cards. What do you mean by that
taking-
question?
Any card type,
Existing
right? They have
functionality.
Visa, Master,
Yeah.
Amex,
and
I
moving that into
don't
the
know all other
SDK.
card types, but
And then
any card type should
using
be
the
fine, correct?
SDK.
Correct.
Right, so
If it's green, we take it.
this is where, this
Okay.
is,
You have money, you take it.
are we
Yeah,
missing the
exactly.
story to say,
Actually, well, I'm gonna backtrack. Somebody's trying to pay us
now we want
Bitcoin,
to
and we reject
use the
it, so-
SDK
Yeah.
for,
For now, you know?
Yeah, and hence,
you know,
and hence I just
getting the
do that
profile
because
information,
it's
getting the organization,
$360,000 jumps to the
getting the
$10,000 and
comments, I
you
mean,
know, we're
some of it is split across,
I've got
right?
a debit card linked to my Venmo account. Think that'll work?
New SDK
you
publishing,
got it.
Should.
that,
I actually think it's
that
got a Visa
story
logo on it. It should
missing,
be
or
fine.
the other
Yeah, I think it's a credit
functionality
card.
that we
They are.
duplicated,
Yeah.
or
But there's enough in my Venmo.
So
Yeah,
are
we
we
need to
making
clear
this,
that Visa or Amex, major carriers, yep.
just replicating this legacy functionality in the SDK, or is it both?
Capturing
Like,
it, we probably
and
going to
also
background.
making sure that Gateway can consume the
So if I understood
SDK
correctly, though, so you want to change
retrieve
this
the
text if it's
profiles and
already
emails
primary,
and all
or
of that as well.
did I misunderstood the earlier discussion?
Because if we can decide
Yeah,
that,
if it's already
I think
selected
just
as primary,
replicating it in the
so
SDK
this text
is
change
not
or
going
this
to be
is
bad.
static text?
But that's duplication effort,
No,
right?
it's if
This
you,
is
on your, if it was your
I
first
know the word
card,
says realm
the
publishing, but publishing
buttons
is
to
happening
say,
in realm, so
Yeah.
Okay, so
this
it'll
is
be
not
a
talking
grayed
about
out if you only have one
publishing. This
card.
is just saying
your
publishing
force
should
is
work
primary.
once we
Yeah, beyond.
once we
It's beyond.
duplicated the code in the SDK
Yeah.
we created, right?
And I don't think the text
Make
changes for
sure
your case
that
card.
they
So I
all
think it's
work
always
together
make this
to
my
make sure
primary
publishing
card.
works correctly in
Yeah.
realm.
And you always have the
And as
option
part
to
of that
change
effort,
recording
we're
in progress.
cleaning up the code from realm and data lake because now we're using the SDK.
Did we fix that issue originally when we were developing the credit card page where if you tried to add a duplicate card, it would let you save it and then you could uncheck the primary card?
We're able to do publishing in realm as we can do today.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
that's
not
okay.
including any of the new
Okay, yeah, so you
APIs
should make sure you
or
test
anything
that
like
for this
But
page
did
too.
we do that same thing for the stories we're working on now? Because I don't think we did. I think we just.
The stories we're working on now is just duplicating the code in the new SDK.
Right.
So why would they have
So I
their
guess
own
the question for maybe this is the Pegasus team
actually
is that
using those.
obviously we have an endpoint
This
already
one,
for
it's
adding a
just
credit
one,
card.
it's just this.
Are we going to need a new
But for
endpoint for submitting changes for editing a credit card, or is it going
other
to reuse the
endpoints
existing
are like-
endpoint?
For instance, for getting.
That's a really good question. I would suspect it'll be a new
That's what I'm trying to say.
endpoint.
This is
because
all
editing is
public.
different than adding.
Right, I'm not talking about.
Editing assumes we're
saying
gonna
don't
find
need
one
to
back
have
there that
stories, so let's
matches
give
and then
them
change some
functionality.
fields, so we'll probably have to do a lookup and save, so it should be a different endpoint.
Okay, makes
Also,
sense.
from a REST standpoint, it'll be a put versus a post, which is what you use for create.
That's true. Okay, yeah, good point.
So it'll probably be the same endpoint name, but a different HTTP request method. So we know what kind of operational, and there'll be a delete as well, because that's how I roll when I bring these things out.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yeah. All makes sense. Thanks.
Okay.
I would
So
assume
what
it already
is-
exists, right? Oh, so, yeah, I was just about to ask the same thing.
SDK we created.
Assuming it's
Create
real.
probably exists. I haven't looked for it, tracked it down yet, but we're adding cards, so there must be a create endpoint. So there should be a post endpoint, and I'll be adding a put and a delete.
publishing
Yeah, this is
uses
for Pegasus. We might have those part of
the other and the other one. tracks profile.
Yeah, we are going to be sending slightly updated data though, in the sense that like we'll now have this address line too there, so they might just have to be like minorly updated to accept that.
Yeah, optional new field. Should not be a huge deal for Pegasus. Hopefully not a big deal for the back end. I can't speak for that.
SDK is published.
Okay. What do we want the backend to support the did?
There are actually two things I just want to mention on this. These endpoints do exist in the backend, but at the same time they are dependent on BlueSnap, and at the same time I think there is a backend ticket assigned for this TAM 411. As per my conversation yesterday with Ritul, if there are any changes, this ticket needs to be assigned to like the finance team.
You're right, Ajay. Sorry, go ahead, Ritul. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, technically these are all existing endpoints, and if there is a work needed, Ajay spotted it correctly, we will assign it to the proper team. However, we would like to know the changes that the new design versus old design is. I did not see any major changes as of right now, so I'm not sure, and that's why I told Ajit that there would be no core backend needed. We are going to support the existing endpoint same way that we were supporting right now, and the data will be flow with the same existing logic.
Looks like the only change is the addition of the optional address to line.
I think billing address, I'm double checking right now just to make sure I'm not crazy, but I'm pretty sure address is in credit cards right now.
Yeah,
Address, yes,
the primary line is, not the second line,
Yes,
like
it
the
does.
apartment or suite 4 number 1.
Account connection, right? There's code
Not
around
in,
that.
you mean not in the current one, but maybe you are not exposing, that's why.
No, it is.
Realm
I'm
itself
looking at it right now.
Okay.
has that publishing function.
In the web view, in the previous version of
Lake does all that part
the
of
design.
where it needs more
Like
details
the
about
live design?
profiles and
Yeah.
stuff.
The live design that I'm looking
It
at right
has-
now, like live in production.
Endpoints that are really only
Yeah,
used
that's what I'm saying. I think the code backend has that information already.
Yeah.
But we are accepting. So in the new one, Pegasus is not sending it, so they are not mapping it. So in this one, they just have to map that address line 2 to the code back.
So the backend call already accepts it, is what I'm hearing.
out of that artifact.
Exactly.
So
Okay, easy addition on the Pegasus end.
if we don't know
Yeah, so one question was
what
like,
all realm
is that because of a gap where Pegasus could not map it to backend API, or why is the difference?
No idea. I didn't work on that for Pegasus for the booking flow. May have just been an oversight.
No, there is no difference or there is no issue here, Suresh. Team.
So what
It's
about
more
the
like
daily?
we
So
are
that's
seeing
what I'm
this
asking.
new
What
address
about
line 2,
the daily?
where in the current booking process we never had address line 2. We were not basically passing the new address line 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren.
That's what
So that's the thing. So when we are adding a credit card, we basically just ask the user to, if they have an apartment number or any additional information for address line 2, they are going to provide it, and the backend is already accepting it.
So this is just an improvement in the design to add that.
Exactly. Looks like it.
Wait, can I show really fast what's in production? Because it mirrors exactly what.
So maybe the design docs are just out of date with production
Gotcha.
until today?
Thanks.
Potentially, I'm not sure, but like, can you see this?
Mhm.
So this is production.
Yeah, now if we add one, do we have a place to address line 2? There it is, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be on web, but I don't think it's on iOS or maybe. I'm not sure. I'm looking at it now.
The SDK.
And either case, it sounds like it's
okay.
on already, so.
Yeah, it should be the same thing because it's just V1 web on
So
mobile.
let's take a look.
Well, it means in like the add credit card page that we have in the flight booking flow now.
So this is
We're not going to a web view here, are we?
Okay.
No, that one's native. Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like it's a non-issue. Like backend's already ready for it,
data lake
so
stories.
all good.
Data stories. We have
All right,
place
Michael,
realm
back to you.
publishing with new SDK. This should be
Yeah. Who wants to go on a vacation?
That's my demo card.
LinkedIn publishing should be rewritten using the new SDK.
Got it. Okay. So backend already has this field in consider that. So that's good.
Sorry, Harsha. I have to jump to another meeting, if that's okay.
Yeah,
But-
sure. Yeah.
Okay, you can ping me and I can come back, like jump out of that meeting, come back here.
Okay, sure.
If there's problem questions. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks, team.
Harsha, I did have one other question. I think it's a design-related question. So that cancel and save at the bottom, currently on this native page that we have in iOS, those cancel and save buttons are sticky buttons. So they're stuck to the bottom of the page, and everything like on top of that scrolls independently. Is that the idea behind this design? Because it looks like there's a delete card underneath it, which would mean that either the delete card is coming down in sticky buttons, or none of this is coming down as a sticky button.
Yeah, I would say my assumption is because we need to, there's two versions, that version with the delete card at the bottom. The buttons would be on the page and not sticky, because it's a dynamic element, right, of like the delete button and the copy that they have to be there. So
these are all the.
yeah,
those
as far
are
as I know,
the
that's the way we
endpoints,
designed it,
right?
just to be
Those are the individual
as part of the
endpoints.
page.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, from the front end's perspective, like it's certainly easy to keep it sticky if that was like one of the things that you designed against. Like it's sticky now and all the dynamicism still works. The only thing I guess would be just the delete card would sit on top of those sticky buttons rather than underneath them. But just wanted to point that out because I don't know if that creates any like annoyances for like backwards compatibility, because we'll still have to service older builds.
Whatever that is.
So it's just trying to make it as like the same as possible.
Not totally. No, because we have the delete card and we do not want to be, before the cancel save, we would say everything would have to be on
So what is the
page. I
difference
can imagine
between this
a sticky situation where, that sticky part gets that much taller just to accommodate the buttons. It feels like, it feels unnecessary. It's not like, I'm fine with keeping everything on the page.
This has a different meaning.
So you want to move the sticky buttons onto as part of the
SDK.
Yeah, because we do have that delete card that needs to be there,
to
and then
me
we just square everything off. So
we're talking about.
Okay. Is there any?
I
mean, from the front end's point of view, that's fine. I just don't know if there's any consideration for backwards compatibility with that, because we'll have some older builds accepting sticky buttons and some accepting like this new updated content where cancel, save, and delete are going to come down.
This is intended to.
I mean, if it's something that needs to be explored from a UI standpoint, I think
when we do the actual.
It makes sense to keep everything on the page for me, but again, from a standpoint,
right now we have all of the
to have
a
mod that has
implemented in the SDK.
Stickies for 2 and stickies for 3 CTAs, we're looking into it, but I think it's all.
The sticky part and the body are both defined in the same Athena document, aren't they? So it's really either you put it in one place or the other when you're building this out in Athena. I don't think you're gonna see it both ways on the same page.
Yeah, the sticky buttons are content, I think.
Yeah, there's a sticky footer right in the Athena content underneath body.
Right, which is not.
So if you put the delete in one place, you take it away from the
These
other.
are stories that have yet to be written.
Well, we need to have like a version endpoint then for having older builds continue to see sticky like Athena pages, and then having new builds seeing like this payload come down.
Oh, I see. Right, because the older builds are going to expect it all in the sticky footer.
Integration
exactly.
Involves
You're saying like the form handling is happening in the sticky footer?
dependency, right? So
Right, saying the app is looking
library
for content there.
To LinkedIn library
And
for dependency.
I would agree with that. For
Data
forms
lake,
like that, having this as part of the page,
dependency,
really forces you
and
to
then having
scroll
a
down
regression
to be able to
test
manipulate it up
for both
into it. So.
data lake
Right.
That's
fine. I think we'll just need version endpoints though
as
for
far as
the add a card.
realm and data lake are concerned.
Just so that like the older builds can continue to call the same Athena page they're calling now, where sticky buttons are coming down. But then for the updated design, we'll call the new version endpoint, and the payload will have cancel, save, and delete coming down as like not sticky buttons.
If those old clients got a page with no sticky buttons element and the stuff on the page, that would break it. It wouldn't be able to handle it and work those buttons where they appear inside the page.
Publishing code that exists
not really. No. It would be a little bit difficult.
You should have replicated all of the
I had hopes for
functionality that exists in both Data Lake and
version's probably safe
into the SDK as a part of this epic, right? That's what this epic is about.
Okay, so the
Just
conclusion
replicating
is
that functionality.
Athena will do a version release to support the new designs which does not have sticky filters. The old ones does have the sticky filters, right?
Actually,
yep, that's correct.
Replace all of the LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Right.
So we have some current work on version components.
This is
I
just
don't know if we've done a version page yet.
Right. So this epic really,
Tenure,
this LinkedIn publishing epic should be called,
They are driven by the page version that comes out of the URL. We have a V1 in most of our URLs, and we got a version 2 component on the page. You go to a V2 URL. So that we know what we're asking Athena for.
LinkedIn functionality in Realm.
Yes.
And also replace all of the LinkedIn code in Data
Okay,
Lake
yeah, that'll
to
work.
use the new SDK.
Right.
That's my understanding from looking at the code that pulls that version out and presents it to you.
But these are all more about publishing. So it looks like
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We just have different
these
pages at Athena and mark them appropriately.
Update SDK publisher with a new post.
Harsha, I just wanted to ask too, do you have the links to the web designs on this Miro board as well?
Getting rid of
just
the
so we can
UGC
compare there too.
This one?
Getting into the new,
In fact, I didn't want to copy paste it because if there isn't changes here, right? I want like one source of information. That's why I put like 2 links here.
new images API,
I could paste it here, but if I don't want it to complete,
and the new
everyone should look at
videos
only one
API.
information.
I think
One
these
source of-
3 should be
So,
moved
yeah,
to
we
our
can
version.
discuss here, but I'll keep the links there.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I just didn't know if there was any other considerations from the website because that might be.
Yeah.
This is not
so,
the
so
current
these buttons or
existing.
this footer is also like,
This is not
does it apply? The
LinkedIn,
same discussion that we had earlier, does it apply here
LinkedIn
also?
they got rid of it. Okay.
But for the buttons,
That
we
makes
don't have
sense.
much in the because we have never had a sticky button. So what we have done is just adapt that to the way web renders it. The one thing that I noticed is that on mobile we do have like a message on top assigning another primary card first, but we don't have that in web. So I just wanted to check what that message would look like, where it would be positioned, because we don't have like a centered layout in web. We have like things like in a grid layout, and just to have that in mind.
Need a quick filter for this.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Lauren, but Anthony, like, can you answer that? Does it come under on top of the delete or is it like here somewhere?
Okay,
so say what's the question?
The question is like
That's
for
LinkedIn
the
publishing
here, like
should be
assign another primary credit card before deleting card here.
something
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
text is not on the web version.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think Anthony will fix that.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so to start with, then I think we already have this contract stories that we are working in the current sprint, correct? And then, so I think let me ask the first question. We are saying in a single story we want to cover like edit and delete both. Is it like too much of a scope, or should we separate it out into like add card and edit card? Or are we going to do it both in one story?
So as Fili said, it's basically the same subpage. The only difference is that we're just going to receive a delete button in some cases, and not in the other case we're not going to receive it. And also we don't have to add like a lot of different endpoints. It's just basically the same URL but different HTTP methods. So from the development side of things, there shouldn't be much more scope added if we want to handle add and edit. But I think that would add some more work from the QA side, but I could be wrong. So I don't know if QA has like any perspective on that.
I'd probably break off a subtask for each Pegasus endpoint, but that's, I don't think we need a whole new story. Just a subtask for the edit endpoint and the delete endpoint that are being added.
Yeah, this is kind of just an enhancement of.
Yeah. I think the bigger story will be doing the version pages for the to support the button movement off of the sticky footer and into the body of the page. That may be a bigger subtask.
Okay, and that is only in Athena?
Okay. Athena and Pegasus.
Yeah, there's Athena and Pegasus interaction.
Okay.
Assume SDK. Stories ensure we can assume the LinkedIn publishing functionality in the SDK. Yeah, so this is not going to be minimal code changes.
Got it. So there is no backend work. Ajit, like we will be using, so we have finalized the design with the BlueSnap, like whatever we are doing in the current architecture where we use that local encryption, right, from the Wings app. That's what we're gonna do. Like while adding the card, we encrypt the data, send it to our backend, and we're doing a proof of concept by the finance team, but nothing will change from the front end, like how we capture and send it to the backend.
Okay, got it.
Okay. The Athena also supports different versions. I think we covered all the dependencies like front-end and Pegasus. Anything that we need to capture from like front-end apps, iOS, Android and web, like are there any like particular tasks that we need to call out to look out in the development?
LinkedIn publishing epic.
I mean, I think this is really just going to be mostly just handling the aesthetic. Yeah, it's really just updating the design and then integrating those new endpoints that Pegasus and Athena mentioned. But a lot of this has already been built already, so it's more of a refactor than a rebuild.
Mixed stuff in there. Unless we are consolidating LinkedIn also has stories to update.
When coming to QA,
which it doesn't.
Stephanie, I believe like we already
unless it has had stories to
we have existing test cases for the
realm and data lake
that's already working,
to use those new features.
Update them or review them.
Right, to consume
I'm sorry,
the
could you
SDK,
repeat
the
that?
new SDK.
The question is like from the QA aspect, like, do we have a test plan that we need to create again, or is it an existing one that we can like reuse and update in corner cases that we discussed?
For the tickets for the sprints going forward, there'll be a new test plan for that.
Okay, so we will create a test plan for this tool. Got it.
So we had,
and also the project overview docs also.
These 3 tasks, Tanya, as part of that LinkedIn publishing epic. Updating publishing.
And we'll be doing the same way that we did for the September release, where the
images API,
the test plan is going to include all of the pods that are going out, and then each team is going to have a project overview doc.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a vague V2, right? That's just saying.
Nadia, anything from the automation that we need to call out?
new functionality available
I
from
don't,
the
I
SDK.
can't
So
tell you because I haven't
what?
worked on that page. But I do see on the existing project there is image card test. However, I cannot tell if it involves the editing or is it just
That's
adding.
ambiguous.
So
Got it. Okay.
yeah, definitely has
So I think Nadia, we have to add a test for both API
That is
and also
part
on
of
the
this
front end.
consolidation.
It just basically
We'd have
both,
to have
adding new cards and
new
also editing
stories
cards as
in
well.
here
right, yeah.
as part of this epic to actually update Realm and Data Lake with the SDK. I think that's what these have to be. And then
I think like
we
with
can leave
the
versioning
story and like even the
undefined for
story,
now.
we
We
will
have
be
to
breaking
create
down
more
into
stories in
like
there.
more
You can
sub-task
keep
level
publishing the
stories, right?
same.
So iOS has a different story, Pegasus has a different story. So
All right. I'm
where
making
do
a
we
bit of a
want
mess
QA
here.
to help us out? Like, is it going to be at the end where we say like, hey, the entire iOS ticket is ready?
No, I think I'm
or
going to revert
is there
this.
any
I'm going to say that
integration
this
checkpoints that we
is
want QA to
still
test up from?
Yeah, I mean, I think this could be a good opportunity to maybe try to test like the elements in a vacuum rather than like as they're coming down with content. So part of the front end task is going to have to be to obviously do this redesign for this element. And I think we could probably test that element like coming down like in a vacuum before it's coming down on the page. So QA, I mean, I'll leave that up to you, but is that something that you'd want to test prior to like the full story, like end to end, like just testing UI, or does that make things more complicated?
Yeah, I think, like we discussed a few days ago, I think it would be good to have, like just the elements, for like the new elements or, new pages or whatever to be able to look at that on Electra before, if the backend isn't ready yet. Just so I can test the design, but not, necessarily test like the full functionality. So I think it would be a good, testing task, but that wouldn't be like the entire testing for iOS. That would just be like, so I can validate the front end or validate.
Yeah, definitely. I think no matter what, like we'll still want the full end-to-end story to be tested, but it's just a matter of like being able to do it piecemeal, where it's like the front end UIs, it should be totally ready and done and like quote unquote complete. Just like we're not applying it to a specific page and like functionality yet.
Yeah, but I think kind of like the same way that I do with backend and Pegasus when I'm testing on Postman first, it'll be a good opportunity to kind of catch any early obvious bugs, before the whole thing is implemented.
Okay. So that's
okay, cool. So yeah, I think that might fall under partially what you were asking for.
So after we've consolidated it,
I think like we have to come up with a way, like for example, so when we go to like more sprint, we might have like much more stories. And all the subtasks are not like QA, right? Like we don't want QA to do the developer subtasks. So if we want, so the expectation would be like QA need to know what to test and what not to test, right? It would be like, for example, iOS story here. So we need to come, I think like we'll probably talk in the sprint plan, like how the development subtasks should go, like to do in progress to complete, like done or something. And then this story will go to like, ready to test.
to 203.
Just so that
these
the
are all
QA
going to
not
roll to
overwhelmed with
202.
all the subtasks in the ready to test.
Then we'll take on replacing
We'll take care of that in the sprint
Realm. LinkedIn publishing should be rewritten.
So are we doing
SDK.
So like if
And
the
LinkedIn
individual
publishing
platforms are going to be stories, are we implementing that like feature ticket that we kind of discussed in the
That's publishing functionality to make sure that it works with the new SDK.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you see here,
Placing data lake.
so this will be our backlog. If we finish all of it, well, we also have our, so this is the current
Dependency for data lake. Story serves as a container for the required regression testing of data lake, LinkedIn.
Like for example, yes. So this one,
right.
view all
Is
credit
that going to be
cards,
like basically like back-end
contract Pegasus. If Pegasus wants to have,
access to
like,
like
for
data like from front-end
example,
perspective?
some subtasks in it,
Right.
they
So
can, but it's not necessarily that all of them would be like testable.
that's where I would need help from
Okay,
Andre and
so
Tom to
the
really figure out
the
what's
story
involved.
tickets, they're not going to be linked. There's not going to be like a I don't know what we would call it.
Yes, it
a
is.
grandparent ticket.
It does not
for
have
the
No,
stories.
no.
Other than
I think like what we'll do is like we will release as an epic. Like if we look at our
Just wanted to make sure, are these two
our hierarchy,
these two are not necessarily related to
like
publishing
this
anymore, right? It's just
27 is
they're
the
not related to publishing.
right? And
I mean,
in this epic we
they're
have
related to publishing in
mainly
the sense that updating
credit
Realm
cards,
to use the new
credit cards.
SDK
So if we are
is
able to like do
changing all the
this by the
publishing.
end of
Now
next
to
sprint,
use the
depending
SDK,
on like how much work it is,
the subtask.
we will see like ideally like we will release like
Rewrite
at
code.
a
That's
time,
already been
but
done.
if you want to release only like a single story,
Yeah, so
which is
the
like,
problem
let's say
here is
you
that
are
we've
doing
got
first,
Sergey's story kind of mixed in with some of these
maybe
epics.
we'll have like a
Tanya.
epic or release
It
tag.
may have been
Okay,
But
so
you
the
want-
major difference then is going to be instead of having
this
like
task.
view all credit cards
Is
as
no
a
longer
story
accurate.
under the epic's going to have like view all credit cards,
This task,
iOS,
both
view all
of these
credit card,
subtasks
Pegasus,
are no longer accurate.
etc. Okay, that makes sense.
wait, I
Yeah.
thought those were tasks we added.
We didn't add these.
Okay,
No,
we got
these
like
were.
7 more minutes.
Let's check.
Anything else that you guys see in the
that
story that we need to discuss?
So
We talked in the
these are
mobile
done
apps,
though,
the web
right?
app.
As part of this story.
So the UAT
Assets.
tags, I think like what you discussed today is definitely, you're right, like
Okay.
so when we say like QA tasks are done, these are done in the
Aren't we-
QA environment with
I thought
all the automation
duplication
complete
isn't
and
necessarily rewriting the code. I
the
thought we
version
still
scripts are
would
done
have
and
to do
everything.
work
And
with code
then this
after we do
goes
the
to like
duplication.
UAT and do like
make sure
release
everything works.
testing aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
are we
So
adding
That's where
like all of the QA
We're
tasks in that
replacing
column? Because I see there's just like
the
for validating the tickets, or
code
is this
in
just
Realm,
tasks
right?
that are
So
specific
effectively
to?
everything that we've
to the
moved
tickets.
out as a part of everything
Because
that
we have
we've
like other tasks
duplicated
that we
in the
that
SDK
for each
we
release.
got from Realm should
That
now
is
be
correct.
replaced
So
with just calls to the SDK. So this is these
I
stories
think
here,
we have like a
these two
QA
stories,
task, QA story
are
itself, correct? Like for
the
example,
way that they're
view all
written
credit
here, right?
cards
This
have
is
a
basically the same
QA
as
story.
this, right? So
Yeah.
what we
You
need
see
to
this
do
one?
is really
So
say
this one, there will
rewrite
be like a subtask for it to
that
say
code
like
in Realm,
validate
use
iOS,
the new
validate
SDK,
web,
right?
validate
Right? Posting
Android.
Oh, so these
Those
okay,
are
so these are
the-
just
Those
okay.
will be
These just
the-
related to the story. These aren't like QA release tasks.
Yeah, I mean we'll make sure that this story is there before we release like all of it. But yeah,
use the new
Okay.
SDK.
does it answer your question? So I would like if I'm the QA, I would create like 3 subtasks here,
For UG posts
validate like
to use
and we will have that QA story
the new SDK.
come all the way through to the
Does that make sense? So we're replacing the Realm LinkedIn functionality with
any other question? So this is the next in
Oh,
our
exists in
line.
these.
If you look at the backlog, this sprint, we're working on all the dependencies for these. And then next sprint, we'll work on like
We've got that.
integrating the view all credit cards
Yeah.
front end. And then, well, I'm gonna like move these.
Okay, publishing
Yeah,
Yeah,
view all
no.
credit cards and edit are our next important step.
stories because we're
So Ajay, like, I believe
These
like
guys
there is
back in
no
there,
work on the view cards, and now there is nothing on the edit cards. Should we be like looking further into like, for example, profile landing page for the backend work? I believe there is work over
That's
there.
that is a ticket which we pulled into profile landing page
Current
into the
sprint.
present current sprint.
Yeah,
Just on that note, yes, even if there was any work on the view all credit cards or all of the edit all credit cards, credit cards usually fall under the finance team. So yeah, maybe for this grooming, with exceptions of next further to groomings, if you guys have something like this, just slack us like what tickets are being groomed, and if there is need for finance team to be here, I can just loop in Alan into these meetings, because it's easier to propagate through and ask questions if he has, rather than I go and tell him that this is the requirement, right?
Got it.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
we can
pull other tickets for Ajit. It will be great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think like for the credit card section, Ajit doesn't have any work. There's my profile page, but we haven't groomed it, so I don't know like what all is in this. What all back-end work is on this story? Like, I see there is a back-end specific sprint planning like next week or sometime. Is that where like you guys are like looking into what work is there from the back-end side for this story? Ajit?
I'm not sure. Ajit, do you know?
Yeah, at this point, I'm just trying to go through all the endpoints which are present for this and seeing the gap. All I see is only miles and address. I probably I'll just try to list out all the things and discuss it in the go back and if those changes are really required, then I'll make those changes. Probably I'll try to propose those changes, address those changes next week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the reason is like now that we went through this exercise, right? Like we were very thorough, like what exactly is expected at every stage. Since we didn't do it for the profile page, maybe this will be the next story that will grow. Like I'll schedule a meeting next week. But yeah, do your analysis, and then when like Pegasus comes into picture and we'll talk about like, hey, we also want like backend to support this, then yeah, we'll have like more information about it.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, Amir. So next time I'll Slack you guys like what stories we're going. If it applies, then yeah, like, you guys can join. If not, like we'll talk in the backend plan.
Yeah. And then I was also curious, like this is the first time I'm seeing this board kind of thing where you're kind of having color coding. Is there anything with color coding like red? Because for backend I see red. It's just you're doing it for backend, right?
Yeah, I'm just. This is like we're early in the game, like we're trying to like learn. But yeah, I want to like differentiate so that like when we. So the plan is like this is our engineering grooming. We go through this depth of capturing all this information, and in our sprint planning we just come to this board and identify persons and things like this, and then go from there.
Right.
So
I'm just
if it helps to like identify like for example, I'm putting like QA in blue.
Confused as to where my data lake
So it's just a color code. Red doesn't mean bad.
Yeah, that's what I just
like SDK publishing.
No,
Are they lots of stories?
But if you guys choose, you guys have like a favorite color, let me know.
Under 2 or 3?
No. I just want to
There's
know.
one, right?
That's why I asked.
Six
Actually,
stories.
Tim or
I saw where you were going there.
Yeah, Tim read my mind there.
We had.
Okay.
Don't panic.
If no time, very good.
Have
Alright,
those two stories.
Almost at the.
LinkedIn, consolidating those two. We have
Anything
these
that you guys
two,
want to
2 or
discuss?
3.
We'll call it a day.
We'll need to.
Created?
We'll call it a meeting.
We just, yeah, these are the ones
Okay,
we kind of
thank you,
renamed.
everyone.
This was
You all have a
Sergey's
good
story.
weekend.
This is
We'll
a
talk to you all
new
later.
one.
All right. See you all on Monday.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
We should probably do some real refinement of these two stories to make sure there's still 5 and 3 points. I think I made up the 3 because it was a different story. So placing data lake linked in with the SDK. we should be able to do the realm one, right?